And life on Mars.
Life on Mars.
Kyle, it finally happened.
It did. Well, I think it happened before. So it's interesting. They had that, what they call like a false alarm, like many years ago, where NASA ended up looking bad because they said they had no life on Mars. Actually, the first time it was Clinton announced it. I believe they found that meteorite in Antarctica or in the Arctic. I don't remember which. And it was from Mars. It had been something that hit Mars, blown a chunk of it up, and that had landed on Earth. And they found what looked like microbes or little wormy things or something, and they were wrong about that apparently. Or if they weren't wrong about it, I think the consensus was, no, microbes aren't that small. And it was like, microbes on Earth aren't that small. Who's to say that maybe on Mars they're not extra tiny? This is a new form of life you're looking at. But they were like, no, this is no good. But Clinton like jumped the gun, I suppose, and was like, we've done it. We've done it. And so then I don't know, 8 years later or so, NASA, they sent one of their rovers was on Mars, and they had a test for life. I think what they do is they take a sample of the soil and they feed it nutrients that have been tagged with radioactive isotopes, and then when that gives off gases, they can detect those gases coming out of it if it's metabolizing. And so that worked. They were like, oh, it worked. And then the scientists went back on it. They were like, oh, well, I know that was a test for life and it came back positive, but no, we don't like these parameters. And so there was disagreement there and they looked bad there. But this time they detected this a year ago. They've got visual little speckles that they found in a dried riverbed that's like 3 billion years old. And they're like, hey, this looks exactly like life. This looks exactly like microbes. This is a year ago. And they're like, all right, well, we're not jumping the gun this time. Let's figure this out. And they've spent the last year trying to figure out what this is, anything other than life. They're like, all right, that's life. But what else could it be? What else could, and for a year, they've not been able to come up with any other explanation other than those are microbes from 3 billion years ago that were alive on Mars. And so now they're going to send those samples back to Earth. So I think it's the Perseverance probe or the rover, took samples. It has them, and they're going to somehow send something down, grab those, send it back, and get it back to Earth, and that'll be final.
I hope they don't fuck it up, like land on the rover. Bullshit.
Fuck, which one of these rocks was the microbe rock?
Some guy in a headset, like, ooh, promise you won't be mad.
I love that.
You're gonna hate me.
Okay, I have to tell you something. Promise you won't be mad. What'd you do? No. First, keep
up to promise.
I'm not promising that.
Holding your pinky out desperately. Yeah, but they better not blow it this time, or I'll never believe them.
Well, the consensus seems to be that it's life. Like everyone is saying it. The most conservative people who are normally poo-pooing like stuff like that, they're like, yeah, that's it. That's what life looks like. Those are little microbes living there, and that speckly stuff. To me, it's like, I don't know, man. Looks like a shiny rock. Or okay, I've seen granite that looks like that, but they seem sure. And every one of my like internet scientist guys that I watch is like, we've done it. It's official. This is it. And I don't know. I think it's really cool. I have always suspected that life is very common throughout the universe, but intelligent life is very rare. I think that's the deal. I think there's plenty of planets with like algae on them. And even more planets with microbes and little goofy things, and maybe a few planets with whole biomes with trees and
that lines up with the Fermi paradox, right? Like,
sure. There's a lot of
some sort of the Fermi paradox. I think I'm naming it correctly. The thing where there's like a filter that lots of life starts, but it's uncommon for life to advance to where we are, or even beyond where we are.
Well, that's a different thing, but yeah, it's all in the same vein. Well, the Fermi paradox is that that scientist, his name was Fermi, working at on the Manhattan Project in Los Alamos. They were all sitting around the table one day at lunch while they were making the bomb for the Japs, and he asked the question, "Where are they? Where's all the life? We know we can do the math up there, the quintillion possible planets that exist or whatever it is. Where are they at?" And there's tons of answers for where they're at, and that's where lots of sci-fi goes. The dark forest idea, the idea that the reason we don't see aliens with beacons just blasting off all the time is because you do that, then there's one race that's been alive for 2 billion years, and they go, oh, are those guys smart? Too smart. Poof. And they just snuff you out.
The dark forest is only one explanation for the Fermi paradox. That being that, well, there's lots of intelligent life around. We're just all too scared to turn our lights on. Okay, that's one thing. Another is, well, there's lots of unintelligent life out there, but there's some sort of filter that stops these microbes from becoming people. Maybe the
and then becoming
atmosphere isn't
spacefarer,
that stable or whatever.
It's tons of things that could like stop you along the way. And we've had 5 major extinctions on this planet where everything was essentially reset back to the beginning, more or less.
And this planet is kind of nicely protected by Jupiter. And Kyle knows this; he's into it. But like, I guess Jupiter's gravitational pull tends to prevent more asteroids and meteors from hitting us than we'd otherwise get.
Yeah, it's enormous.
Do we spend most of the time on the same side of the sun as Jupiter, with them more like behind us? Because I know like the planets aren't revolving in concert with one another. It's not like a line. Like so like sometimes they wouldn't be there. Sometimes we'd be over here and they'd be over there.
I'm guessing it's equal.
Well, that's
like,
irrelevant.
When
that
one's
part's
faster
irrelevant
than the
because
other.
it's creating a gravity well that's enormous that's rotating. Not just. But in any case, the what was I going to say about the thing?
Was it related to the Fermi paradox, Jupiter, meteors,
I think it was.
microbes? But yeah, anyway, I was just like, so Mars had life, but couldn't stick around.
Yeah, not good life.
That happens a lot.
Very
dried up. Mars has
life.
Mars and Venus were water worlds a few billion years ago. They had rivers and oceans and stuff like that, and they both ended up going in different directions. Venus went super hot and got an incredibly thick atmosphere. They think there might be life in the atmosphere of Venus. There's probes going to check that out. The Soviets in the 60s and 70s sent landers to Venus, and they kept sending better and better landers because Venus is such a hostile environment. The temperature on the surface is like 800, 900 degrees or something, hot enough to melt lead. It's full of acid, and the pressure is like 12 or 15 atmospheres, something crazy. So they had to send this crazy advanced, for the 70s, probe, this lander that they landed on the ground. They started taking pictures and sending the pictures back, but it like melted down after maybe 40 minutes or something like that. But they think that they're in the upper layers of Venus's atmosphere. If you were up there, you could pop your helmet off and be like, oh, this isn't so bad. I mean, it stinks, but like this is, so there's all these ideas about colonizing Venus with like floaty airships up in the atmosphere so that you could have scientists up there doing research. And then Mars went the other way. It lost its magnetosphere after it cooled down, after the core cooled down and stopped spinning. And then it lost that radioactive shield and it burnt off all of its water. And now it's got this incredibly thin atmosphere that is just shit. And the whole planet's irradiated.
Venus seems even worse than Mars somehow. Like if we were ever to utilize that, it needs to be like a prison planet or something. Like it's horrible.
Mars is small. Mars is like maybe 1/3 the mass of Earth, I think. And Venus is very similar to Earth.
Hear me out,
I think the
Taylor.
gravity would be.
I think you'll be okay with this. Venus is where we put the aliens.
Yes. And guess what? Guess who didn't put that on his 21 country no trade list? You're going to be praying for fucking Zimbabwe, dude.
Can you imagine the terror in his face locked into that?
I'd be terrified even knowing I was going to come back down. I'd be so spooked going up to
They
space.
launch him like one of those Tesla Roadsters that they sent up.
Brought to you by Red Bull. Yeah.
I was curious about where that Roadster was. If you don't remember, Elon early on was testing Starship, I think, or maybe one of the earlier versions of it, and wanted to prove that he could lift X amount of weight. And the other option was launching concrete blocks or something, like they just needed a weight. And then he was like, I got the perfect idea. Let's send up one of my Roadsters. It's great advertising. And it was. And if you don't remember, there's that famous picture of a fake astronaut sitting behind the wheel of a red Tesla convertible in space.
Wait. I need an idiocy check. It was a real fake astronaut, though. It wasn't a Photoshop fake.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. Good. That's yet another Photoshop I fell for.
They put a suit, behind the wheel. But I was like, where's that thing at now? That thing's out on this crazy orbit now around the sun. Like they showed its path.
Wait, around the sun? not the Earth. Okay.
Oh no, they launched.
Yeah. It says the next notable close approach to Earth is in 2047 at around 5 million kilometers.
Yeah, it's been out beyond.
Close does some heavy lifting in space talk, where they're like, it missed us by
isn't as far as miles.
That's true. Or you'll see some guy at NASA be like, you have no idea, this is coming right for us, a cunt hair away, 1 quadrillion fathoms. It's like,